Welcome again to the Mouse&KeyPod, and today, as promised from the last episode, I'm going to be playing a slightly more chill game, Stardew Valley. Now, I think Stardew Valley is going to be very pertinent to today's episode topic. I'll get more into that later, but just to cover what's going to be happening in this episode, I will be starting a new save, and if we do future episodes of Mouse&KeyPod with, or in Stardew Valley, then we'll be using the same save. So I'll do M&KPod for the farm name. I'm not sure what I'll go for. Just Raven for my name. My favourite thing is going to be talking. It reminds me of talking. Yeah, perfect. All right, we'll just kind of randomize character here. Is there a random button? Oh yes. We'll do 10 randoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, this is us. This is Raven of Mouse&KeyPod, and our favourite thing is talking. So we are going to skip the intro because I've played this game a couple times before, don't need to see all that, but if you are, really interested in the intro, I'm sure you can look it up somewhere. I feel like I'm just going to pick Forest Farm. I quite like the Forest Farm. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about video game addiction, or more specifically, some degree of video game dependency. Maybe addiction is a strong word. But some degree of video game dependency, right? So I specifically wanted to choose Stardew Valley today, actually, because Stardew Valley was one of the first games where I truly felt like I had a problem. And I'll be more specific in saying that when I actually first got Stardew Valley, I didn't know much about the game, but I heard good things, so I gave it a go. And this was during a time in my life where I would say that I wasn't excelling, let's say in general. I was I was depressed. I was pretty depressed, and it happens. Like, it happens probably to everybody, at least in several points throughout their life, they're going to be depressed, and that's just the way it is. But more specifically, this was during a time when, it was quite a transitionary period for me. It was just a time where I was going through a lot of change in my life, and there wasn't a lot of, it wasn't like massive changes. It wasn't things that, ordinary people don't go through often, but things that just like, I was a lot younger, and I was, going through a lot. So I think basically for me, Stardew Valley was a really great escape because, even just loading into this world today, like even just loading the game up earlier, I felt like a warm and fuzzy feeling when I heard the music. It felt so cozy, and it just reminded me of like, being relaxed and like having a chill time. I'm not going to be doing anything particularly crazy today, obviously, because I'm kind of locked more into talking. I'm kind of probably going to be doing things that don't exactly make sense because I'm not very focused on what my character is actually doing. I don't have like insane Stardew Valley hours, so I'm not going to be like, pulling out some insane strats or anything. I don't really know much when it comes to, I guess, like, the top strats for Stardew Valley. But, so this time when I was first getting into this game, I really only played it for about 25 hours total, and then I never touched it again for years. And that may seem like, 25 hours, that's not that much. I have like 500 hours in Stardew. Like, I have like probably 80 or something, but 25 hours is not that crazy. Like, I have infinitely more hours in games like Overwatch and, Monster Hunter. But the reason why it was a lot for me is because, how do you craft? It's because I actually only played Stardew for about 2 to 3 days. So between 2 and 3 days, I was playing this game, and I racked up 25 hours in about probably less than 3 days. So yeah, I was playing this game for like, let's say 2 days, about 12 hours a day. And only 2 days, so 12 hours for 2 days, but it was a dark time. I wasn't in a good way. I was like awake for 12 hours just to play this game, and then I would sleep for like 8 hours and get straight back to it, and it was just horrid. And, the only breaks I would really take were to go to the toilet. I don't think I was even taking breaks to get food. I was just, doing the very key things that I needed to do just to get by, and that apparently didn't include food. So, I speak about it sort of in jest to a degree now, because it's just silly to think about that I was, so invested in this world, apparently. But I don't know, I think I just I just really loved the world of Stardew, but it's more than that. In for lack of a better term, Stardew was there, and it was the perfect distraction. And that wasn't a good thing for me at the time, because I had things that I needed to focus on. I had priorities, I had responsibilities. There were things that I was supposed to be doing, like education, being social, hanging out with friends. Like, this is what you do when you're young. You prioritize your studies, and you also prioritize your social life. Like, these are important things. And also, I wasn't doing anything quote unquote productive. Now, obviously, productivity looks different from person to person, and depending on what your goals are. But my goal was to excel in education. It was something that was important to me from a young age. And as I got older, it became less of a priority, but not necessarily because I didn't have those goals anymore, but more so because I didn't have the desire to commit myself to it. And that was where video games really helped distract me. And I say helped, but not in a positive way. Distracted me from doing the things that I needed to be doing, really. So yeah, that's sort of why I'm playing Stardew Valley today. And, I don't want this to be a depressing episode, because as much as I don't look back on those times fondly, obviously, I do appreciate that it could happen to anyone. It's not like I'm special, or like I'm really sad, or that I had a tough life or whatever. It's just one of those things that you can fall into when you have access to this form of escapism, and you want to escape for whatever reason, even if subconsciously you just want to not do the things that you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, at this time as well, I quit playing sports because I wanted to just game all the time. It was the only thing I wanted to do. And I've been gaming my whole life. This isn't new. I grew up on video games. I grew up on PSP, GameCube, PlayStation 2, but yeah, I grew up on these things, and I was always playing games, but I had a certain degree of balance to my life. I was, as much as I was gaming all the time, I was also going outside all the time. I was a child, so I was doing anything that a child would do, go outside, playing sports and hanging out with my friends, but also playing games when I got home. And that was just what I would be doing. But then those sort of other things started to fall away, and games became more and more time consuming for me. I think it all comes from how gaming rewards you, and we all know about the human reward system. How our bodies generate, I say generate like it's a computer, how our bodies produce these hormones and endorphins and things that make you feel like you're achieving something, and the games really capitalize on this really well. And I don't mean that in some nefarious way. I don't think games are evil, obviously, but it is something that anyone could easily fall into in any type of game as well, particularly if you're a competitive gamer. There's a degree of productivity to that where if you actually want to be like an esports player, obviously there's a goal in mind and you're working to achieve that goal. But even then, you think about sports people. If you're a football player, say you do training this much a week, you have a personal trainer, you have this and that, a nutritionist, etc. And these esports players oftentimes do have those things thanks to their orgs, but even then, they're playing for 8 hours a day, and that can't be healthy either, right? So even in these sort of professional fields, when it comes to gaming, we're still not prioritizing healthy habits towards gaming. I think when you realize that I'm actually doing nothing in the game, which is why it's so much easier to talk this time. I'm going to try and do something. I don't know what. I'm just going to go to sleep and move on to the next day. This time I have taken more notes, thankfully, because last time was not a good example of how I want this podcast to go, really. It was really rambly, and this one will continue to be rambly, but hopefully with a bit more flow. But yeah, once you realize that you're going from just playing games for fun to actually neglecting parts of your life that you need to attend to, that's when the question of, is this a video game addiction or dependency to some degree, comes in. And for me, yeah, I would say at this time when I was playing Stardew Valley for 12 hours a day, that was not a healthy way to be gaming. And that's obvious. I remember I had a time where I wasn't sleeping properly and I played Apex Legends for like 15 hours in one sitting. Obviously, you know, getting up to go to the toilet and things like that, but barely eating and just playing Apex for 15 hours that's wrong. That's unhealthy. It's objectively bad for you. I mean, sitting down for 15 hours, no matter what you're doing, is bad. So, yeah, that's when I sort of realised, like, these things are not just normal gaming habits. These could be classed as video game addiction. I mean, I'm neglecting the things that are important to me. I'm reaping these endorphins from playing games and getting this faux sense of productivity from farming or, you know, grinding out a game. And whilst those things can be fun to do, and video game skill is like a real thing, like understanding video game language in terms of how you approach a game and like how you approach playing a game, those are very real things. But that, you know, only to a certain degree can you say, oh, I'm improving my video game skill. You're just at some points killing time, which again, as I mentioned in my previous episode, killing time is absolutely fine. I don't see anything wrong with not being productive 100% of the time and just doing things to pass time sometimes when you're enjoying yourself. But when I look back on those times, I can't say that I was really enjoying myself. I was really just immersed in this world, but not in a good way necessarily, more just in a very, like, I don't know, and in an unhealthy way. Not just, you know, mentally unhealthy, because obviously that's going to be just mind-numbingly, like, I'm just zoned into this thing and I'm not really processing thoughts or feelings or doing anything important. Obviously physically harmful because I'm sitting down for 15 hours. I think that's when you sort of realise, this is a problem. And then you think to yourself, how do you approach that problem? First, of course, it comes with the classic, everyone knows, first step is recognising that you have a problem. Everyone knows this. So, I mean, also I haven't played this game in a long time. I don't remember this, but maybe that's been a thing for a while. There's also that degree of like sunken cost. Like, you've spent this amount of time playing a game. I get this all the time where I'm like, oh, I've grinded out this game for so long. I'm about to hit this milestone in the game. And a lot of the time I will never touch that game again. Like, I 100%ed one of those free games that come... What? Oh, it was 8. I 100%ed one of those free games that you get on Epic, and I had fun doing it. But I've never touched that game since. And what did I really gain from that? But at the same time, I enjoyed passing that time. I had fun. It felt like an achievement at the time. But I don't know. There are all these questions that I have to myself about gaming and gaming habits that I still don't have any answers to. I would say that my relationship to gaming as a hobby is still not the healthiest. I still find myself going on long gaming sessions that are not, you know, during times when I do have other responsibilities that I need to be tending to. So it's not something that I've figured, oh my gosh, that I've actually figured out and that I know, you know, how to do. Sorry, actually fishing's a little bit harder to do and talk at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, I think as well, as I said about getting help, I remember a long time ago, there was, I think he's still doing this kind of content, but I don't watch him anymore. There was this streamer called Dr. K, and he is, I want to say he's a psychiatrist, but I could be slightly off the mark there. And yeah, I want to say he's a psychiatrist. One, I believe that means that he can diagnose and prescribe, but I'm not entirely sure. But he actually made quite a lot of content about video game addiction. And I don't remember much of what he said, to be perfectly honest with you. I have an understanding of what addiction to anything looks like, and that looks like often neglecting your responsibilities and not taking care of yourself, and those sorts of things. So it applies to all sorts of things, whether that's substance abuse or gambling, or video games. And of course, video games being one of the lesser of the extremes in terms of how that can directly impact you and those around you. But regardless, it still has those similar trends and effects. I think I'm just going to chop down trees for today. I don't really know what I'm doing. Kind of all over the place. I remember seeing those videos and wondering if other people are self-aware of this attitude towards gaming. Are other people self-aware that they have an issue when it comes to gaming? I don't know. But I do find it interesting to think about because it's something that so many of us do, and I always think to myself, I don't understand what people who don't play video games do when they get home from school or work. What are they doing? Like, how do they have fun and pass time? Like, I go home and I watch a TV show and that's fine, but then I've still got a couple of hours left in the evening. And I don't know how to pass them without playing video games, or at least watching, like, 99% of the content I watch on YouTube is gaming content. Obviously, there is a lot of content that I watch as well that isn't gaming content. Like, today I was watching, like, cold cases, but it still takes up a massive part of my life when I'm not even playing games. A lot of my friends, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I made through either playing video games with them online or, just our joint appreciation and enjoyment of video games. So, did I get help for my clearly unhealthy relationship to gaming? No, I just continued to, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. I just continued to play video games and ignore any sort of potential issues. I think more specifically, I have had, as I mentioned again in my previous episode, I've had times in my life where I haven't really wanted to play games very much, but then those are times where I'm like in such a low mood that not even gaming is something that I want to do, and not necessarily even in a low mood, but like a space where I don't think I'm going to get anything from gaming. But yeah, since it's a rainy day, I'm going to see if I can go to the mines and use up all this energy. I don't know. I think for me, and this is going to be a phrase that I say a lot in this show, is for me, because of course I'm talking about my experiences, but I would absolutely love to hear about anybody else's experience with this, because I think it's probably more common than we might even think that people would be, I don't know what the parameters are for being considered to have a video game addiction, but I think more people would be under that umbrella than they might think, or than people might think in general. The problem with me talking so fast and actually having notes and stuff is that by the time I finish this commentary, I'm going to have achieved absolutely nothing in the game because, I didn't realise that was still locked. Because I've just been, rambling uncontrollably. Also, I do really want to get better at this whole commentary thing. I know that it's a bit of a muscle that you have to work, but yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be pretty crappy at it for a while. I'm going to get this guy Joja Cola. It's locked? Oh. Also, sorry if my voice is a bit hoarse. I have, like, allergies that kind of don't really go away with antihistamines. Well, I don't actually make any profit off of this because my reward is 75 gold, but at least I get friendship. And that's what it's really about, guys. Sebastian. Wait, isn't that the guy who just walked past me? Nah, that's not Sebastian. That's, like, Matt or something. Could have made that up. Yeah, Sebastian's the guy up top, isn't he? Maybe. Oh, no, that's Alex. Wait, am I making that up? Shane. Whatever, man. So yeah, for me, there have been pros and cons, like, socially when it comes to gaming. As I've said, made lots of friends through gaming, but of course as well, it's sort of alienated me from a lot of people because I do spend so much time indoors playing games, and I don't think that's necessarily entirely healthy, and there is a part of me that does want to change that, but at the same time, it's all I've known for however many years, and it's a safe place for me. It's I've got nothing left to do today, I'm going to play some games and just sort of zone out for a bit. Or, I've had a bit of a tiresome, long, stressful day, I just want to relax and do some farming in Stardew Valley. But then again, it's about having those healthier coping mechanisms where you can actually yesterday I went for a walk and that was really nice, and the weather's lovely at the moment, so it was just like beautiful golden hour. I was having a wonderful time, and I want to do that more, but then a part of me is like, should I go for a walk today, or should I kill 2 hours in Stardew Valley? And that's the worst part. A walk takes half an hour or, an hour max, depending on how far I want to walk. But I can't stop myself, it seems, when I start playing a game. A gaming session for me is never less than an hour, or never less than maybe even 2 hours. I will always be gaming for like at least an hour to 2 hours minimum, and oftentimes way beyond that. And that is another issue, is like, for any other hobby, I'm not going to be doing that. Like, if my hobby is the gym, or my hobby is dancing, or I don't know, these are all sport things, but I'm not imaginative enough to think of anything else. But so, I'm not going to be doing that for like 6 hours a day, Whereas gaming, for me, I just can't control myself. I have to play for like several hours. And that's another part of the issue for me. But yeah, I would love to hear if anyone else has any thoughts on that. Like, if that's something that they also struggle with and, can't seem to break out of. But yeah, so this isn't really an advice video, because I wish I had advice. I wish somebody would give me some advice on how I can make better choices, healthier choices. But yeah, I think Stardew is a good game for this like podcast format, because I'm not under immediate threat all the time from zombies like in the last one. I really do like the chill vibe of this game. I want to do more videos with games like this, or even just this game. I think it's just the perfect choice, really. But yeah, I know a lot of people who schedule in their gaming hours, who say they will play for this amount in a day, but I never do that. I don't have scheduled gaming time. I know almost for certain that in a day I'm going to play games at some point, even if that's on my iPad. And I don't really play like mobile games. Like, I will play games that have been PC games that have been ported to iPad. Like, recently I started playing through GTA San Andreas, because I played it a lot when I was a kid, but I never actually completed it. So I've been like 100%ing that on my iPad, which is like, is that a waste of time? Almost certainly. Like, no, it's not relevant to anything or anyone at this time in my life. No, I don't know anybody who's spoken about it in years. I mean, it's a fantastic game, and I loved playing it, but why am I 100%ing it now? Why am I playing all the missions? Why do I feel the urge to complete every single mission, even if some of them suck? What part of my brain is telling me to do this? I really just don't know. That's swag as hell. And as I get older, again, it all comes back to being older. I think that's a big influence to why I'm even doing this podcast, is because I'm getting older, and I want a way to sort of almost compartmentalize my thoughts and feelings about that process. And again, going back to what I said in the previous episode, a big part of me when I was a kid did not think I was going to be playing games when I was older. I thought I would be, over it, maybe. I thought I would have moved on and be doing something else and be too busy for games, because I'm so productive and, I've got so many things going on, so many projects, and I'm so cool or whatever. But no, I would say now more than ever I have a lot of time to play video games. And that's not to say that I, don't have other responsibilities, because I of course do. Hold on, I literally can't talk while I fish, even though this is like, I don't even have to do anything for this. It's an easy to catch fish, but I'm just locked in. I had a different attitude towards gaming when I was younger. My attitude was that it was a silly thing for entertainment, simply to pass time, and that is obviously still the case, but back then it was like a childish thing to do, and therefore it was acceptable that I was always gaming. Not even then though, people like my parents, they weren't particularly happy with me just quote unquote wasting all of my time gaming, and just sat in my room doing what they thought, from their perspective was just nothing. And I totally get that perspective, because now that I look back on it and I think about what I was doing, I was just doing this. I was just running around in Stardew Valley, and what am I actually achieving? And obviously this is back to the point that I don't actually have to be achieving anything to just, I should be allowed to just enjoy nothing. But yeah, it comes back to that every time. I don't really know what I'm doing, which is, I guess, moral of the story. Sorry. Moral of the story. Okay, alright, sorry. Hold on, I'm thinking. Let me go thinking mode. How do you strike a good balance? If I say now, for example, that I currently, I have a job, I work nearly every day, and to me that gives me some sense of productivity in my day. Do I need to get a light in here, or is it gonna be dark like this all the time? But yeah, that does give me some sense of purpose day by day. It makes me feel to a degree productive, which I didn't have when I was younger, and I was just, in a way, rotting away in my room playing games for 12 hours. But then I come home and I play video games for 4 hours. Is that any better though? Like, yes, I'm fulfilling my responsibilities, I'm doing the things that I need to do, but I don't come away feeling fulfilled or a sense of accomplishment or like I'm working towards any goals. And I think that's another challenge for me as well, particularly as somebody who's quite creative. This, for example, obviously is me expressing myself in a way, because I'm talking about specific things, and like things that I want to talk about, things that I care about. But yeah, particularly for me as a creative person, I don't take the time to create things. How can I call myself a creative person if instead of creating things, I'm just playing a video game? There is a certain degree of creativity that comes in certain games as well, of course, as we know, but I'm not doing any projects that make me happy. I'm just playing games, and there is obviously space to do both, but the fact that I'm not doing both, is that then another unhealthy form of, a very mild video game addiction? Is this coming back to, like, obviously it's not the same as it was when I was younger and playing for 12 hours a day, but am I still in this cycle of doing the things that I just about doing the things that I need to do, and then coming back and playing video games? Am I still making that mistake, on a lesser scale? If I'm not gaming, oftentimes I'm watching videos of people gaming. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Guys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with watching people play video games. So keep watching this video. I'm beginning to question if I still have this issue. It's not something that I can say retrospectively, I may have had a video game addiction when I was younger. I think I don't have a video game addiction now, but I do have still those unhealthy habits that I haven't kicked that formed way back when. And it is a process, of course, but then again, what is the why should I kick it now? If I'm doing the things I need to do, why should I kick it? And I think that then comes to, well, I'm in my early adulthood, and I want to do something. I want to make something. I want to achieve something. And for a lot of people, that's things like, oh, I want to run a marathon, or I want to do an Ironman. And those are productive things because they're working on skills that you want to develop for whatever reason that may be. And that's something that a lot of people have in their early adulthood, as we know. It's sort of a little epiphany that you have. You need to do something. I need to start a hobby. And to what degree can we call gaming a hobby? But then again, why is it not a hobby? It's a really difficult line to tread for me, because nothing comes out of it, right? I'm not performing at the end of it. I don't get to do a big acting performance on stage, or I don't get to... I'm just running around on the screen. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't get to achieve something special. Who is in the position to say that the achievement isn't special? But that is me. I'm in that position because I am the determining factor of what I determine to be special or important to me. And to me, making achievements in Stardew Valley is not important to my life or my development or me as a person, but I can't help myself but want to do it. Like, recently, a game came out called Schedule 1. You may have heard of it. It's not quite Stardew Valley, but to me, honestly, it kind of is taking that path of... How the hell do I pass this guy, by the way? It is taking that path of, like, being Stardew Valley-esque, and I think the development diary of the game is kind of looking that way as well, in the things that the developer wants to add. It's almost like the Stardew Valley, but like for the production of substances. But anyway, it's a fun game. It's a silly little game that I've been playing a lot. And for some reason, I have this urge to, like, build an empire in Schedule 1. But why? And once I'm done, I'm probably going to log out of the game and not log back in for years. Is that the same thing as working hard on acting classes and then doing a play? No. Not to me. Maybe it is to you, and that's completely fine. But then that's where my issue comes, is that to me, that's not productive. Even if for somebody else it might be. And I think that's a lot of understanding video game dependencies and poor habits. It comes from recognizing what you consider to be a poor habit for what you want to achieve. And for me, video games, as much as I love them and they will always be a part of my life and I'll always play video games, they are not going to necessarily lead me into something that I would consider a great achievement. And I don't mean that in terms of like this, for example. If somehow, by some miracle, and obviously I have no expectation that this would ever happen. I can't, okay. But by some miracle that this show really took off and everyone loved it, you know, I don't know. And even though it's just me talking and running around in Stardew Valley achieving nothing. But if this somehow took off, then it's productive. But as of right now, I'm just doing it for fun, and it's actually quite therapeutic for me to just talk with the idea that it's not just, for me, like writing in a journal or something doesn't work, because I know that it doesn't get it out. It doesn't feel like it's getting it out, because there's not even an option for conversation. Whereas doing this, there's almost that very slight chance that somebody might see it and write a comment saying, oh yeah, I've had this experience with video game dependency or something. And that small chance, for me, makes this like really fun. So this feels productive. But if I was doing this without talking to myself and I was just playing on my own, which I am doing, but if I was just playing without the recording, it wouldn't feel productive. And that is where I can then distinguish, oh, this is a waste. I mean, not a waste of time, but I need to reprioritize my time and allocate more time to the things that I think are productive. Because what looks productive to you won't look productive to somebody else, as I've just said. That's for you to decide. Because at the end of the day, I mean, not to sound bleak, because I'm not like a nihilist, but there is a certain degree of like nothing you do is important or matters that actually brings me peace. Oh yeah, maybe I'm wasting my time playing video games, but what does it really matter? If I was actually doing something amazing instead, like winning an Oscar for my performance in some amazing, massive movie, okay, and then what? We all go in the same place in the ground, you know? Okay, that's deep as fuck, but you know what I mean. Dude, how do I progress in this game? Cultivate and harvest a parsnip. Greet people. Heard. You may think, oh, I'm being really productive today. I built this massive thing in Stardew Valley and I'm so proud of myself. And that's great, but then if you're investing an insane amount of time into doing this and neglecting yourself or neglecting other responsibilities, then it's an issue. Even though in your mind you may be feeling that it's productive. But even then, if you are still doing the things that you need to be doing, like to the very baseline level, then I don't think it matters. I think it's good that you feel that sense of productivity from it, and I wish I did too, because then it would make this urge to waste my time playing video games mean something, whereas now obviously it doesn't. Dude, I'm just gonna sleep. I need to harvest these parsnips. I'm running around doing nothing. I'm so sorry, guys. In the future, when I actually get some goals in mind in Stardew, instead of just like starting a fresh save and not knowing where to go, this will be a little bit more engaging on the screen. But, you know, if you're not watching, please just play a different game and listen to me, because I'm telling you, there's nothing happening on this screen right now. Also, don't put as much pressure on yourself to do something amazing. I think that's what it is as well, is for this thing, I'm doing it super underproduced, and there's a reason for that. I actually do really like video editing, and I like making a spectacle out of editing and putting effort into it. But for this, I don't think I'm gonna have the energy and the time to do that. So I'm starting really small with something that I'd have to do only very minimal editing, a few cuts here and there, but I don't have to, you know, do anything crazy that's going to be time consuming, and it can make me more likely to actually do it and try and pursue it instead of putting it off because it's going to take too much time. In conclusion, in summary, productivity to you looks different to what it does to somebody else, and you can be the person who distinguishes something from being productive or not being productive. But once you start neglecting your main responsibilities and the things that keep you healthy, then that's when it becomes a real issue. There is, for me, just some kind of part of me that doesn't find playing video games super productive. And I think breaking the cycle of continually doing something that doesn't feel productive but you enjoy is hard. It's really hard. Because after I've had a long day, why would I want to then start a project or continue working on something when I don't have the energy to? I don't know, like, there are so many projects that I've started and not finished, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's because I'm lazy, or because I don't persevere, or because my heart's not in it, or what. But I always come back to just being like, oh, should I continue working on that project, or should I play Stardew Valley for 2 hours? Or should I play Overwatch for 2 hours? And then oftentimes 2 hours turns to 3 hours, turns to 4 hours, and then before I know it, it's bedtime, or well beyond bedtime. And that's how I know that I'm not out of it yet. Because I'm still playing beyond midnight. I'm still playing well into the early hours of the morning, which is something that I try not to do, but I still do it. So when I repeatedly recognize that something I'm doing is unhealthy but continue to do it, that's an issue. It's a problem. But is it a big enough problem that I want to stop doing it? Clearly not, because I still do it. But I don't know how to convince myself that this is something that needs to change. Like, how do I finally get to the point where I go... I know everyone talks about making new neural pathways takes lots of repetition and strict consistency, but how do you build that? I mean, do I just not have willpower? Is there something wrong with me? And then these are the unhealthy kind of thought processes that lead you to not making improvements to yourself and your situation. I would love to hear just what other people think about this loop almost, and how common it is. I mean, it's got to be insanely common. I mean, there's also obviously always that sense of I need to do something that will ensure that I can support myself and those who are important to me. And that's a very, very valid concern. And then how do you then sort of justify working on a project that doesn't in turn have some kind of monetary value? That's the thing, are you defining productivity by monetary value? I don't know why I'm destroying these big rocks. For some reason I want stones, I guess. But yeah, if you're defining productivity by monetary value, then I feel like you've already got it wrong. But it's a very easy thing to fall into of like, oh, I'm just playing video games all day. I'm not like making money or doing something that's going to lead to, I don't know, something on the other side. As I said, obviously, building a skill. When you finally do that performance, as I said before, if you've been in acting classes for a couple months, you do a performance, then what? How do you justify that as being productive, but playing video games is not productive? And then again, that's down to your own discretion. Then the question is the productivity worth it? How often do you complete a task and you feel productive in the moment, or maybe you look back on it and you're like, oh, I'm really proud of this achievement. In the long run, like, what does it really matter? I mean, when you come down to the bare bones of it, the things that matter are those people in your life that are important to you, and making sure that you're comfortable and content. And then we get into a deeper conversation of like, what is happiness? What is contentment? What is, are people aren't happy all the time? Is it just enough to be content all the time, or comfortable, or at least in a reasonably good place? Even if there are a lot of valleys and peaks, and sometimes more valleys than you'd like to experience. Those are things you're going to experience regardless of whether you're playing video games for 12 hours a day or not. Still, I'm not endorsing playing video games for 12 hours. That's categorically not good. But playing for 4 hours when I get home from work, is that bad? Should I be doing something else? I mean, there are often times when I don't do that. I don't play, there are a lot of days where I don't play games when I get home because, maybe I want to spend time with my family or something, or my friends or loved ones, whoever that may be. To me, that is productive because that has there's very distinct value there that I'm gaining from interacting with the people that I care about, or maybe even meeting new people. There's distinct value there from nurturing those relationships. But then anything other than that, what is the value? Unless I'm trying to work on something long term, maybe for monetary gain, maybe if that's working on a career, maybe like I'm getting really into playing the guitar so that I can, start a band or something, or be a guitarist. Then that considered productive, but me just playing guitar on my own just for fun without any end goal in mind, is that not productive? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, yes, I'm improving the skill of me playing the guitar, but if I never play it for anyone, is that not productive? Like, what do you define? And again, I keep saying over and over again, what do you define as productive? And then saying, oh, it's up to you. But then how do you come to that conclusion yourself? Because if I was playing the guitar, and I do like to play the guitar sometimes, if I was playing the guitar, I would automatically in my brain associate that with being more productive than playing this video game for that equal amount of time. But the outcome is the same. The outcome is nothing. I'm not playing the guitar for any other reason than just a pastime, but equally to get better at guitar. But I guess the ultimate realization is that I actually do have a sense of achievement and purpose when I can finally complete a riff on the guitar that I couldn't complete before. When I see that progress, I'm proud of myself, and I'm happy with how I spent my time because there was some kind of outcome. But then, say I build like I don't know, something really cool in Minecraft, and I come back to it and I'm like, wow, look at this house I built in Minecraft. There are so many times where I build like something insane in a Minecraft world in survival, and I never go back to that world, and it's just lost. But then again, the same applies to like playing the guitar. There'll be times where I've learned to play something really cool on the guitar, and then I find that I can actually no longer play it because it's been so long since I've tried that I've lost the skill. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's something that I still find extremely difficult, determining what is productive. And of course, when I'm talking about video game addiction, I'm not talking about what I'm doing now, I'm talking about what I used to do. But when I'm talking about those habits that led to video game addiction, I am talking about the habits that I still fall into. And that seems like something that I can't get out of for the reasons of not knowing exactly what to me is productive. Like, I think that there are things that give me a greater sense of reward, but then in the long run, it doesn't really matter. So are you just doing it then for that short-term gratification that you've achieved something? And then it comes back to, at the end of the day, what does it matter? Like, the outcome is the same. But we can't, and then this comes to this whole other idea of we can't then value, like put this arbitrary value on ourselves based on our output or, you know, the outcome of our decisions necessarily. It's very easy to fall into that mindset of, well, what's the point? What does it matter? Outcome's the same. And then that makes it very easy to make bad decisions and fall back into bad habits because you don't place enough value on that little sense of achievement that you get when you learn that guitar song. So, moral of the story is, it's not a waste of time to play video games, and it's not necessarily an indication of video game addiction if you play video games for several hours a day. But, as, you know, a wise woman once said, too much of anything can make you sick. So with that, this nice optimistic music comes in to Stardew Valley, and that makes it feel like a perfect time to end the episode, because now I'm sort of talking around in circles and losing track of what it is I'm actually trying to say. Please let me know if this is something that you have found that you've personally dealt with, or that you know people in your life who have had similar situations. We did 6 days of absolutely nothing, so I'm sorry for that. But I made 60 gold today off of that leak, so I'm pretty happy about that. Please do leave a comment below. Obviously, I'm pretty much saying this to the ether because I don't think anybody's going to see this. But if you are watching this by some miracle, please do let me know if this is something you've dealt with or think about even. Or if you have any thoughts about anything that I had to say. A lot of the time I say things without really thinking, and then I watch the videos back and I'm like, why did I say that? That doesn't really make sense, or that's not actually how I feel about that thing. So please take everything I say with a pinch of salt, because sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. I mean, most of the time, actually. I don't think I'm going to be breaking out of this video game, not dependency, but habit of playing video games probably more than I should. And I don't think I want to break out of it because I love games and I love the feeling that they give me of escapism and being immersed in a new world, whether that be in an RPG where I'm my own character or whether that be playing as somebody else. I think video games as an art form is, you know, they're so versatile and they can make you feel things in an interactive way that you wouldn't get from necessarily the same way in TV and films and books. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't find myself getting like addicted to Mario Kart or whatever else I was playing. I would say Monster Hunter though, I did play a lot. There are quite a few other Nintendo games and sort of DS games and things that I invested a lot of time into, so I don't know, maybe it is something that I have dealt with since a very young age, but I definitely think it really came into fruition as I sort of hit my teen years. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next one. Peace out.